We do have a bag filled with retro goodness.
We're here at one of my familiar haunts, the Salvation Army. You've seen a couple of my videos where I've been at the store. Now, I was supposed to come Wednesday to do this game hunting experience, but guess what? I had car problems. I had to get a new battery. So I missed the 50% off day, but we're here on a Friday. It's pretty dead, as you can see. Now, we'll see if they have any games, but I'm looking for classic games, the NES, anything cart-based, right? Classic games. So let's go in and look. Come on. Two games, PlayStation 2, like I said, I'm looking for classic games, the NES, Sega Genesis, SNES, Game Boy, Game Gear. You get the picture. But they had some PlayStation 2 games I did not own, and they're not in the best condition. They might be salvageable, but I got them for 50 cents each. Couldn't pass that up. So now we're gonna head to the Goodwill. Well, don't take it from me, I'll let Xander say it.
Nothing is there.
So we're gonna go into Stuff, one of my favorite stores, and look for those retro goodness, right?
Yeah!
Stuff had some stuff. All right, Toys R Us. Normally don't go here for game hunting, but Xander has some Toys R Us money, and we're gonna go in and see if we can find some, maybe some clearance games, some games for him. You know what they say about Toys R Us, right?
Kids can be a kid!
Darn tootin'! Where's that little punk? Where'd he go? Xander, where are you? Xander! Little punk! Well, we just got done with Toys R Us, so we're gonna go out and to this nice, beautiful day in Oregon and actually game hunt at garage sales before we go to CD Game Exchange. So far, I've picked up 2 Game Boy Advance games for fairly cheap at a garage sale, and we're gonna go to a couple more before we go to a couple of CD Game Exchanges and maybe another Salvation Army. And I found Xander, don't worry, I found him at Toys R Us.
We're off to the next stop.
I have an NES game I don't have. I found an NES game. Another bag of goodness. This came back from CD Game Exchange, one of my favorite places in Portland and Gresham. So we're gonna go to one more store, GameStar, and call it a day, and then we'll look back at what we got. How's that sound?
Good.
Well, just came back from GameStar. Well, they have a lot of stuff, but nothing I was really interested in. They have like 2 NES games I don't have, but a little more than my budget today. But
We do have a bag filled with retro goodness.
so we're gonna head back. I'll show you what I got on this game collecting day. We might stop by a garage sale or 2 if we bump into it, but so far every garage sale we've been to except for one has been a bust. So let's head back home. Woo! It's been a tiring day. Just got back from an epic day of game hunting. Xander, bring on the goodness.
Goodness, sir.
Okay, you were dismissed. Okay, so let's talk about today. My familiar haunt, the Salvation Army. I was supposed to go Wednesday when it's 50% off. That didn't happen because I need a new battery for my car. That's what happens sometimes. You roll the dice and you get snake eyes, and that happened Wednesday. But today, walked in just to see if they had any games, and surprisingly, they had over 60 games. Everything from PlayStation 2, Wii, and original Xbox. No classic games, hold on, with the exception of a complete 2600. The box was in the best condition. It had multiple controllers, and they wanted $150. $150. So I talked to the guy who's notices me there a couple times, and he helps me out. And I go, guy, you're asking way too much for this, plus the box is in the best condition. Plus the console itself looked iffy, and some of the controllers definitely, some of them look like they were fairly rare. I've never seen them before. I'm not a big 2600 collector. 2 of them were Sears, and a couple of them were original. I think there was like 8 controllers in total. Like I said, now we'll see if they have any games, but I'm looking for classic games, the NES, anything cart-based, with the exception of maybe the PSP, and the exception of maybe a Sega CD or PlayStation 1. But they had these. Now they're complete, but the discs don't look the best. I don't know if you can see, but the disc is kind of beat up. The guy was so awesome, hooked me up with both games for 50 cents. Like I said, there was 60 games. I wish I got more. And like I say in my other videos, Goodwill is always a gamble. You do not know if they're going to have anything. They had very few games, nothing really there. Weird thing is, we went to a Goodwill a couple days ago just to look around, and one of them actually had classic games, including NES and N64, and even some consoles, with an NES being $10, but it was really bad condition, and I didn't want to pay $10 just to repair a system. But then we went to Stuff. It's one of my favorite stores in Portland if you've ever been there. And like I say, Stuff has stuff. Retro goodness! Biohazard Battle for the Sega Genesis. Not complete, but still, I got that for $10. I got Deadhead for that for a PlayStation Portable game for a really good price. Got $3.50. And Championship Bowling, an SNES game for just a couple dollars. Then we went to Toys R Us. Now, you probably saw our little adventure of me chasing Xander around the store. He thought I'd play a little game of hide and run from Retro Dad. Not fun. But he ended up getting this.
I gotta catch 'em all.
Okay, from Toys R Us, after lunch, we decided to go to a couple garage sales. Now, the first stop actually had some games, including an NES game, Mario Brothers Duck Hunt. They wanted $5 for it. I already own a couple copies of that. I was just going to buy one just for trade fodder anyway. But it did have 2 Game Boy Advance games. Paid $2 for both of them. I think I already have Frogger though, but it was only like 50 cents. Every garage sale I went to after that was a bust. Went to a place, never been there before. It said video games and VHSs. So I was like, okay, let's go check it out. They had $4 NES, $5 Super Nintendo games. All of them were sports though, and a couple original Game Boy games. Now, I went through some of the games, and I go, do you have any more? And they pulled up this other box, and it goes, well, these games are individually priced. And that's when I was looking through, and their games on like Zelda, Ghouls and Ghosts, and then I saw it. Street Cop for the NES. This is an uncommon game, and actually one I have not seen in stores probably since 2010. It's a Power Pad game. I got it for $8. Pretty good deal when this is a $25 game. Also picked up Quicks. Also picked up NBA Jam TE. Technically, I already own this for the Sega Genesis. No way! And I always wanted it for the Super Nintendo to compare the two. And Rap Jam Volume 1. When we went to GameStar, they didn't have anything that was in my price budget today. They did have like 2 or 3 NES games I do not own, including an Advanced Dungeons & Dragons game, but the cart itself, its label is in bad condition. I don't want to pay $30 for a bad cart. looking that way. If it was like Little Samson, I'd pay $30, but not for that game. We went to one of my familiar haunts, CD Game Exchange on Division, and I actually got quite a bit of a stack of retro goodness again. I got a $1 Game Boy game, Wings 2, Scooby-Doo, and Super Godzilla, which actually kind of gone up in price. I swear they had this for $5 just a week ago, and now they had it for $10, which is the most money I spent today on a single game. Decided to take a trip to Hawker's Locker today too. And I don't remember if you recall the video where I talked about getting all those cheap SNES games for $1. And I asked them if they have any classic games. And they go, well, yeah, we have a couple underneath here. They're mostly sports titles. So I opened this drawer up, and they have stacks of SNES games in the box. And he goes, every game $1. Whoa, okay. Well, I got 6 Genesis games here for 75 cents. Now, it's true, most of them are sports. Now, is pool considered sports?
Yes!
Are you sure?
Yes!
Xander says it is, so it must be a sports too. And there was also this. It's a triple pack, triple score, 3 games in 1. I don't remember seeing this game before. It comes with Hang On, World Championship Soccer, and Columns. Complete for 75 cents a piece, not bad. We went to CD Game Exchange on Burnside, probably my favorite CD Game Exchange in all the other CD Game Exchanges around Portland metro area, and picked up a Genesis game. Picked up a really cheap PSP game, a cheap Game Gear game, and picked up a handful of Game Boy games, most of them being $2. Not done. Thought we were today. Then I went to a place, I got another pleasant surprise. I got the licensed version of Pac-Man from Tengen. Biggest surprise, Street Cop. Game I haven't seen in the wild, and honestly, I don't recall seeing at Cowlitz either. And Pac-Man, I've got 2 NES games for the collection, and I'm getting towards that licensed set. Well, that's it for this game hunting extravaganza. Today was all about retro goodness, right?
Yep.
So, thank you for watching. So, have fun. Go game. See you later. We're at one of my favorite store stuff. What are we looking for?
Retro game stuff.
What are we looking for today?
Retro game. Retro goodness!
Honk!